On today's episode of the Mark-Titus Show, the cold-ass white boys are at it again. Reed Sheppard with a 32-point, 7-assist game in Starkville, Mississippi, hits the game winner to beat Mississippi State, rips Brandon Walker's heart out. Just an incredible performance from Reed Sheppard. Block shot, like he had. That's a quintessential Reed Sheppard performance. Like if you're trying to explain to somebody what it is you love about that guy, show them the second half of that game. He was balling out. Also balling out. The number one cold ass white boy. He's locked it up. It's over. The race is done. Dalton Connect, 39 points against Auburn, scores 25 points in the final 12 minutes. Outscores Auburn 25-21, and this is an Auburn team that is very, very, very good defensively. In fact, that's where they make their money, is on the defensive end. They were doing a great job guarding everybody else, but Dalton Connect could do whatever he wanted. It was incredible to watch. And again, that was the game you point to and say, this is why I love Dalton Connect, and this is why I trust Tennessee. This is why I trust Tennessee more than I've trusted all these other Rick Barnes Tennessee teams. But let's not forget there R.J. Davis. I mean, on Monday, he had the monster game against Miami. It's been a great run for individual performances in college basketball on big stages, on great teams. Very, very fun time to be a college basketball fan. And obviously, this is March. It is March 1st now for those of you listening. So that's exciting as well. Today on the show, we have Jim Root back in studio. Jim does the show 3-Man Weave with the other guys. You'll never guess how many of them there are. But Jim's the man. He's been on the show a few different times. Always brings great stuff. Had a very, very fun conversation with him about college basketball. And he asked, I don't want to oversell this or tease it too much, put too much pressure on it, but he made me laugh as hard as anybody's ever made me laugh on this show to end our interview. So you have that to look forward to too. Jim knows his stuff, and he's fun to talk to. He's very easy to talk to. Love having him on. We talked for about an hour about all sorts of things college basketball, and tried to hit as many teams and many conferences as we could. You never can hit them all. Apologies to fans of whatever team we offended by not mentioning your team. We actually do like your team. We think your team is. The reason we didn't mention your team is because it's pretty obvious that they're national title good, and we just didn't feel like it was necessary to belabor that point. So we just kind of didn't mention him for that reason. But anyway, here he is, Jim Root. Please enjoy. All right, Jim Root is back. It is March 1st. This is March. This is March. It feels right. This is March. I just like saying that. John's got me saying that. This is a leap year, and John is leap day John Rothstein's biggest enemy? It probably is, right? It
has to be. I mean, it's one day further away from March. It's one day further away from sleeping. Yeah. So I get all the way to May. How do you celebrate March 1st? Do you do anything special?
I just see whatever content John Rothstein's putting out, which, by the way, Jim's in here. It is February 29th as we were recording this. So I'm going to call my shot that John does, in fact, have like a 3.5 minute produced to the gills video. But it's not produced. It's like there's going to be like snippets of like big budget Hollywood movies in the video.
But it'll be him at the gym sweaty doing the rest of it. That's kind of cutting back and
cuts
forth.
Away from that to like the Avengers. Yes. And it's John Rothstein in his apartment in Manhattan, and then it's back to the Avengers somehow.
I would say big upset that we don't have an hourly countdown from him already. Usually it's like 12 hours before March.
Oh, no.
I would think he would start to do like only 10 hours until March.
Let me get a live reaction to John Rothstein's Twitter. What's the last thing he tweeted?
Actually, maybe there is a countdown going. Maybe I jumped the gun declaring that it doesn't exist. Yeah. So hopefully.
Bad reporting by you, because I'm looking at 10 hours till March.
No way. Wait, he's actually doing it?
When did he start? 11 hours until March, 12, 13. When does he start?
Of course he's doing one. How could I even think that he might not? That's
now I got to figure out when he started doing this. Like what? How is this a 24-hour?
Yeah, that's.
So I found 24. Hold on, I keep scrolling.
This is what the people listen for. Yeah, Titus scrolling John Rothstein's feed. Yeah,
it is 24. It's 24. That's where he starts.
Unbelievable.
Anyway, it's March. And with that, I feel like we should obviously talk college ball, but like what a week it was in college basketball discourse. And I texted you this, and I promised my audience last show that I would not talk about court storming, and I'm only bringing it up to say we're definitely not talking about court storming, right?
Not even for 1 second. Not a chance it comes up again. No way.
Thank you, Jim. There's no. Because here's the thing that I think about court storming. Now,
here's why I don't want to talk.
Here's why I don't want to talk about it. No, but I went on a rant earlier in the week because I swear to God, I'm not trying to talk about court storming, but I said what's frustrating is that like shit like this becomes the focal point of college basketball discourse, and then you take a deep breath and you look around and you'll hear people say like, why are there no stars in college basketball? Why are there no good teams in college basketball? And the reason why is because those of us who cover the sport seem to just be gravitating towards dumb shit like court storming, when the reality is we just had back-to-back nights of R.J. Davis, Reed Sheppard, Dalton Connect that got my juices flowing, where I'm like, these guys, I can't get enough of. Like, all three of them are my I mean, I guess we'll start here because like Edey's going to win National Player of the Year, but would you agree with me that like I got to be careful because I don't want to piss off Purdue fans, but like
you don't? That's never stopped you.
Maybe I do, but there's something like the three guys I just mentioned are way more fun to watch than Zach-Edey.
Yeah,
right?
They're electrifying. Like it's just the scoring. I mean, 42, and then Sheppard was like 32, 5, and 7, and 39 from Connect. He had 25. Yeah. He outscored Auburn the final 11 minutes or something like that.
Yeah, 25 in the last 12 minutes.
Yeah,
it's
crazy.
Absurd.
Well, and like we're not even mentioning Dillingham for Kentucky, who can do this exact same thing, become a microwave. Yeah, those guys. It's just a little. The further the shots are away from the hoop, the more fun they are to watch.
Yeah, I had a bunch of people reaching out to me about Connect last night, and they're like, "Does he have any hope of winning National Player of the Year?" And I said, "No, he doesn't. He's not. It's not the best that any of those guys can do is get into the discussion, and the discussion is you're not winning national. Now Dalton Connect has reached a level where it's like, welcome to the conversation, and the conversation is now over because you're not winning it. But I was thinking about it, and if this was college football. And this was the Heisman. Don't vibes play a part in like how they vote on the trophy? Like, I'm fascinated by the idea of letting the Heisman voters vote on who would be the college basketball national player there, because like Edey's got all the stats. Edey is very obviously dominant. But I do think the college football guys, and I love that they do this. I do think that they drink the hype Kool-Aid and the vibes Kool-Aid, and like you see a game like Dalton Connect, what he did last night, or Reed Sheppard, what he did against Mississippi State. R.J. Davis, obviously. I know Edey has big games, but they don't like – Edey doesn't have the element that those three guys have where you want to call your friends and tell them to turn on the TV and just be like, R.J. Davis is doing it, dude. I don't know what you're doing. You have to leave dinner and go turn the TV on because R.J. Davis is on one right now. I had a dude last night. We were at a Barstool comedy show at the Laugh Factory, and I was watching the Auburn-Tennessee game for the first half. And then one of the guys in the crowd walks by as we were like settling in for the show to start, and he's like, "Titus, I can't believe you're missing the Dalton Connect masterclass going on right now." And I was like, "What is he doing?" He's like, "Dude, he scored like 20 straight points." I was like, "Fuck, dude!" And I set up my phone as the comedy show's going on. I have my phone set up in the corner, and I'm thinking like the short list of guys in college basketball where I would do that for. And I think football does a good job of like. I'm not saying we have to vote for Dalton Connect for National Player of the Year, but there has to be something we can do for this man. That's like acknowledging.
Well, isn't there like an Offensive Player of the Year award in football?
Yeah.
That's like, all right, we're giving it to the best non-quarterback.
Yeah.
So maybe this is like the best non-7-4 guy. We'll give that to him.
Yeah, the best. There's got to be something because it just. I don't know, and I've made this point throughout the year too that I think. With Edey, we have the exact opposite. Usually, like the Heisman people, and with every other award, there's voter fatigue. But I feel like Edey was the exact opposite, where it was like. He's going to win the award as long as he puts up 20 and 10. Yep, okay, and he put up 20 and 10. Yeah, okay, so he's going to win the award. And he should, and I'm not saying he shouldn't, but it's just weird that, like, this isn't even me. I notice this across all of college basketball. Like, people are just foaming at the mouth when you see, like, R.J. Davis and Dalton Connect doing these things.
It's just more fun. Like you're saying, like, it attracts me to the TV more, and, like, I tweeted the same thing last night of, like, we won't see 3 back-to-back performances consecutive days the way those guys have, and the way they all did it was slightly different, but it was still like, oh, they control the game. And it's a little bit like football where you want to give it to a QB because they control the game. The ball's in their hands every time. And a perimeter player, the ball's in his hands so much more.
Right.
Edey can't put up 30 and 15 without being fed the ball. It's like a receiver can't put up 200 yards without being thrown the ball.
Yeah.
So maybe we need to make it more of a guards award and take it away from the big men the way that football's taking it away and just giving it to QBs.
Yeah. Edey's like, who's the most boring Heisman winner?
Mark Ingram.
Mark Ingram, yeah. Edey might be that's disrespectful to Edey. I don't know, because I wish there was a way that you could just acknowledge.
That was disrespectful to Edey? I didn't know which direction that would be disrespectful for.
I don't think Mark Ingram was that good.
Okay.
Or maybe he was. I don't know. He was very boring. Maybe it is disrespectful to. No, I don't know. Maybe that's a fair comparison. The reason I'm like all over the place is because like the rational part of my brain is like, yes, of course it's Zach-Edey. It's just like no part of my heart of my of any like I'm not inspired when I watch. I can't imagine kids are watching Zach-Edey. If I was 12 years old and I was watching college basketball, I'm not watching Zach-Edey and saying, holy shit, I'm gonna go in the backyard and try to be like that guy.
Right.
I am doing that with Dalton Connect. I am doing that with Reed Shepherd. I'm doing that with RJ Davis. And I'm doing like you said, Rob Dillingham. There's like all sorts of other dudes in college basketball that I'm doing that.
I have the Heisman comp now.
Go ahead.
Jason White, aged like 27,
Oh,
won it over Larry Fitzgerald. Like, who's more fun? Who are you imitating?
That's right.
Who's like capturing more hearts and minds in the sport?
Right.
It's probably not 28-year-old Jason White.
Yeah. Anyway, with all that being said, let's go through each three of those teams: Carolina, Kentucky, and Tennessee. I want to talk about how much we trust all three of them because Kentucky is the big fluctuator. Kentucky is very close, and in fact, I think they might have done it against Mississippi State. They broke the record for the most times being back in one season. Every time Kentucky loses, I'm like, well, fuck, this team's not doing anything in March. And then the very next game, they score like 117 on Bama, and I'm like, oh, they're so back. They are so back. Lose to LSU.
Because they give up 90 every time, and you're like, oh, that's right, they always give up 90. But then they score 105, and you're like, that they can score 105. Right. So like they could just do that all the time.
Carolina and Tennessee are similar, though, where it's like I get to a point where I'm like, both of these teams are unstoppable, and then they lose head scratchers as well. So of those three teams, and Kentucky's is not just, it was Reed Shepherd on this night, but it can be Reeves, it can be Dillingham, it can be so many different guys. Justin Edwards had a monster game against Bama. But you have three teams that do have individual players that can take over games, and that seems to be the formula in March. It's not always the only way to get it done, but like it does seem that like if you have a guy like that, that is worth its weight in gold. So of those three, like how would you rank your trust in the three of them? How do you rank like as we're looking at just March Madness?
I'll go Tennessee first, which feels insane to say that about Rick Barnes because I know there's so much of the narrative out there. But the defense, like, it's not going anywhere, and it's never been the problem in the past. It was, can they score against the zone? Can they shoot? And obviously a lot of that has been fixed with Connect, and the defense is still there. And some of their points per game stuff looks not as good. But both Tennessee and Kentucky have made the move of, you know what, we could go over easy points in transition instead of all this, like, walk-up stuff, have a rock fight in the half court. Like, last year, them and Auburn played, like, a 49-45 game. This year it was 44-40 at halftime. Yeah. It's like they've both kind of, especially Tennessee, has really embraced we could just be good at offense too. Maybe that'll help, and Connect has buoyed that completely. But I feel most comfortable with them given the blend of guard play, offense, and the defense just has the principles have always been there.
Yeah, the defense has not changed, and even having Ziegler healthy for this tournament run is a big part of it too. But I think I agree with you, and it does seem insane, but because like you said, Rick Barnes in March. But what does that even mean? Like, because Big Cat keeps saying that to me all the time. Yeah. He just keeps saying like Rick Barnes in March. Literally every time I bring up Tennessee, he just goes Rick Barnes in March.
He made a Final Four,
and I know what he's saying, but also what does that mean? what exactly does that mean? Because they were, I guess what it means is last year, even when you beat Duke, you know, and the path is laid out before you fuck it up against FAU and can't score, and FAU goes on a run, and you're just kind of sitting there like, how do we score? But I'm with you. I think Dalton Connect changes that. I do. Yeah. I think there's obviously a chance that they still lose in the second round or they don't really go on a run. But this team is very, very obviously different. And I think Connect's the best player Barnes has coached since Durant. I think, like, or at least offensively. I think he's better than Grant Williams or Admiral Schofield were.
Yeah.
On the offensive end for sure. And like he hasn't had a guy like that since Durant. The other part of that is he lost in the second round with Durant. So
yeah, that's very true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. It feels different watching them. You don't feel like, oh, I know that late in the game they're gonna bog down and not know what to do. Like last year, it was like I guess Ziegler had torn his ACL and Vescovi might play hot potato with I don't even remember the backup point guard's name, the Indiana State transfer. I'm sorry, folks.
Tyreek Key.
Yes,
yeah.
Thank you. Good pull, Mark.
Yeah.
And it just felt like those guys were not totally certain whose hands the ball is going to be in, and now it's just so obvious. Like, all right, this guy can go score. Or I tweeted after last night, Auburn just was sick of it, so they send a double team at him. And he's 6'6". He just saw over the double and was like, oh, the skip pass is open, and they got a layup out of it. Like, that kind of possession is like, oh, yeah, I just never saw that in the past with them, and now you see it pretty clearly.
He can do it all, man. He can do – which makes you wonder why he doesn't do it all every single game.
Yeah. Score 40.
Like, I don't –
if you told him he had to, how close do you think he could get?
I kind of want to see him – like, it makes sense for him to be on a team like Tennessee because, like we just said, that they were so desperate for one singular guy like him that can just save the offense, and it's a perfect fit in that regard. But I also wish he was like playing at like Arizona or something, and Tommy Lloyd was just like, let's just get up and down all game, and I want you. You
know where he almost went, right? He was like a near lock to go to Indiana. And then he flipped to Tennessee.
Really?
And how different is
how
different is the Hoosier season right now if they have this unbelievable – they probably never take Mbako from Duke because they've got their starting 3-spot figured out. The guard rotation is a lot more sorted out.
Oh my God, he is such an – he's not an Indiana player, but that's the problem. But Dalton Connect is such a – like the wet dream of what Indiana fans want. I should put it that way. That is the exact guy that Indiana fans have been waiting for. Oh, dude, that's brutal.
Yeah, I'm sure they just wanted to hear about that. If they had just forgotten about it, might as well remind them.
And there's probably like a story that was like he was ready to commit. Knowing the way it's gone for IU recently, it was probably like I was ready to commit. Woodson said he was going to call me at 1 p.m. We were going to have the conversation where I told him I'm coming to IU, and then I just never got the phone call. Something like that.
He just forgot.
And Woodson's like, yeah, I did. I forgot to call him. My bad. That one's on me. Quick break to talk about our friends at DraftKings. Get in on the college hoops action with DraftKings Sportsbook, one of America's top-rated sportsbook apps. New customers who deposit $5 or more can get a no-sweat bet up to $1,000 back in a bonus bet. What is a no-sweat bet? It's just like getting an offensive board. Miss your first shot, you get another opportunity to score with a bonus bet back. You can also follow along what all of your favorite Barstool personalities are betting on by joining the Barstool betting group in the social section of the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code Titus. New customers can get a no-sweat bet up to $1,000 if your first bet loses. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code Titus. The crown is yours.
Is there anyone else besides, I know we're kind of talking those three teams, but who else jumps out at you as like, turn the TV to that channel immediately? Like the Creighton Rainmaker performance against UConn, like that team just making 3 after 3 after 3. They've been doing it for years.
Yeah.
You said, I think on your show, they used to do it to Villanova all the time.
They used to do it to Villanova. Now they're doing it to UConn.
Like that's if they've made like 3 and someone tells me like, oh, they're going to make 7.
I think you're right about that. I think Creighton is a team that I don't know how much I trust them winning 6 games in a row or 4 games or whatever standard you want to give them in the NCAA tournament, but they are a team that, like, with the first media timeout, you can tell if they're hot or not. And if they're hot, it's like, all right, let's strap in for a fun night.
Yeah, it's so clearly like it goes throughout. Like one guy makes one, and they all kind of get a little more confident. What about Caleb Love? Does he qualify in this category for you?
Dude, I don't. He's the same guy, right? Or is he not the same? Like, I can't tell if I'm. Because there are times I'm watching Caleb Love, and I was like, dude, this change of scenery has done wonders for him. Like, this is incredible. Like, what I'm seeing out of this guy is, like, last year at Carolina, he was just me, and he was the skate. Because that was, like, every time Carolina lost a game, they would, like, subtly blame Caleb Love. Caleb Love was the scapegoat. So now he's at Arizona. He's putting up monster numbers. Arizona's good. They're going to get a 1 seed? Are they going to get a 1 seed?
They're like they're betting favorite for the last 1 seed.
Yeah. He's playing at All-American level. And so I'm like, damn, dude, this change of scenery has done him good. But then I watch more, and I'm like, this is the exact same fucking guy. Like, this is the exact, like, nothing has changed at all. It's just like he fits better because last year, like him and RJ Davis obviously don't work together, and when they did work, it was just because they were so talented. But like now that you see them both at different places, it's like, you're sort of like, where did this come from RJ Davis? But then you're also reminded, oh, he had Caleb Love on his team last year. Now that Caleb Love's not there, RJ can spread his wings a little bit. So I want to trust Caleb Love, but I don't think. I think the part of me that thinks that like this has been a change of scenery, and Tommy Lloyd is like, really sat him down and said this might be your last chance to prove to the NBA guys that you can work. I don't think any of that happened. I think it's just like he's always been super talented. He just like will dribble it off his foot and be like, that's my bad. And it's like, Caleb, that was a big moment, dude. Like, why did you do that? Why would
He'll
you
mix in the 5 for 20 game and you're just like, that's right. I forgot that bone is in there too.
So I don't. But I agree with you in the sense of like he is an electric, like he gets hot and he's rolling. It is very fun. I just don't know if I can. Arizona's a tough team for me to peg in terms of trusting what's going to happen in March. But then at the same time, the more I think about it, the more I'm like, I don't know if I can think of 4 teams that I trust to win 4 straight NCAA tournament games. And by definition, there are going to be 4 teams that do that. That's how we get a Final Four.
And it's a little like last year. I mean, I thought Alabama and Houston were good, and then they only won 2 games.
Yeah.
And the teams that won 4, if you had told somebody that like middle of the year, these are the teams that are going to win 4 in a row, they're like, oh, shut up. Look at last year. It was all blue bloods. There's no way that's going to happen. And suddenly you have the unexpected one. I mean, I'm sure this will be like somewhere in the middle. You get 2 blue bloods, 2 random ones or something.
Who are you most confident in then right now? Without looking at a bracket, without knowing matchups, and it is. I'm not trying to say that we should throw it back in your face when you're wrong.
No, definitely do. I'm ready for it. I can handle it.
Who right this second are you saying if I have to pick at least one team to be in the Final Four, I think I would put all my eggs in this basket.
It's UConn for 2 reasons. One, they're the only team I don't have a futures bet on in the top 10. Like I've kind of picked off good prices for basically everybody else, so now they're definitely assured of going far. But second, I think they're the most matchup proof, where I don't pick out something with them where Purdue's guards can still get pressure a little bit.
Yeah.
Houston, if you keep them off the offensive glass, the offense short circuits a little bit. Arizona make them play in the half court. Where does the offense come from? Connecticut can win half court up tempo. They can win through their bigs. They can win through
a great point.
Newton making shots or Caravan and Spencer getting hot. I think they're the most avenues, the most styles that they can win in. And I think that's important when you're trying to win 6. Like, you're going to have to win one game in the 50s, one in the 80s. It's just kind of how it goes.
I think you just convinced me it's UConn. Yeah, because I agree. I agree with everything you just said. That, the plan B is so much. Everyone gets enamored with plan A, and you as you're evaluating these teams, you're like Alabama's a good example to me. Like Alabama's plan A when they are rolling, it's like they could beat the Nuggets. Like this team is this team's unstoppable. I don't know what their plan B is though. I don't know what happens when they go 1 for 16 from 3, which they will do, and then they're just like
they're certainly not going to guard anybody.
Yeah, it's time to get stops, and they're like, I'm not doing that. I'm just going to keep jacking threes.
Well, it was funny after they gave up 117 to Kentucky. Oates' press conference was like, we are going to work on the defense. And in the first 8 minutes against Ole Miss, they'd given up 25 points, and it was like, I'm not sure how many drills you ran. Of course, the offense ended up, they scored 100 on Ole Miss, and they ended up fine. But I just don't think that defense is fixable. Speaking of defenses, I'm concerned about. We're switching gears here. What do you think about Illinois? Because they have stopped playing defense
they've just
over the last month.
It's been bad. It's been really bad.
And the offense is plenty made up for it.
Yeah.
But they're like outside the top 200 since January 30th in defense. And it's like, that matches the eye test.
Yeah, they've given, and I know Illinois plays fast, and I understand tempo, and I don't need nerds to explain to me how all that works. But I'm just simplifying the point here that they have, in their last, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, I guess Michigan, but Michigan doesn't count. Michigan sucks. But they've given up 97 points, 85 points, 90 points, 80 points, and then Michigan is 68 points. But, their last 4 games, they are 3-1, but they lost to Penn. They choked that game away against Penn State. And you're right, they are not guarding anybody. But that might make them fun to watch, though. I guess I should throw Illinois in the mix because I think that's important sometimes. Is that there's 2 separate types of casual NCAA tournament, college basketball fans. One is like tell me who's going to win so I can fill out my bracket and I can bet on this. And I want to know, I just like, who do you think is going to be the Final Four, all that sort of thing. And I think there's another group that's just like, I don't give a shit who wins. I just want to know like which teams are fun, and I don't want to have to turn on my TV and see Virginia score 42 points. So like, who should I be watching that's fun and all that?
And I think this is a great year for that.
Yeah.
Like, where you're talking about, let's talk about positive things about the sport. A lot of really good teams are awesome offensively. Like Kentucky is ridiculously fun to watch. Tennessee is great to watch. Illinois, Alabama, like a lot of these teams tilt really heavy offense, and so you get if you get them to play each other, then you get 117-95 like Kentucky versus Bama, and I hope we get some of those games in the tournament. Yeah,
and how much do I trust any of these teams to like consistently put it together game after game and march to a national championship? I don't know, but I will tell you this: they are fun to watch, and they might, Kentucky might lose in the first round on a buzzer beater, but it's going to be an awesome game. It'll be very fun, and they'll have two dudes that probably scored 30 points. I don't know which two they'll be. What about Houston? So for most of the season, it feels like the maybe not most of the season, but there was a stretch there a couple weeks ago up until they both lost, where UConn was blown out by Creighton and Ohio State beat Purdue, where like right before that happened, the narrative is that this year in college basketball, it's Purdue and UConn versus everybody else. And Houston was, yes, playing well, but it felt like we kind of put them over to the side. And it was like Purdue and UConn are juggernauts, man. Those are the two teams. And then the more I watch Houston and the more I pay attention to the rest of the country, Houston is very obviously in the mix with the other. It's now, like if you're trying to split it up, it's like I think it's those three now pretty clearly. But is Houston just like that? What if Houston just wins the national championship? What if Houston really is the best team in the country and always has been? And like the only time they looked bad was in the first half at Kansas.
And Kansas made everything.
And Kansas was making everything.
Yeah.
But like outside of that, even the games they've lost have been close. One of my concerns was their non-conference schedule. Not that it was bad, but I remember just thinking like they didn't really play like a marquee. Like they weren't going to the Maui Invitational, or like they weren't playing like the heavy hitter top 10 type teams. But now they've been playing long enough in the Big 12 that I think we have enough data to know that they're for real. What if Houston just is better than everybody?
It's entirely possible. I mean, their defense is better than everybody.
It's so good.
It's ridiculous. Just like everybody's long. They rotate like crazy. No shot is open. It's why like for 6 straight years, their 3-point percentage defense has been in the top 10 in the country, basically, which is really hard to do because most of the time you're kind of up to, maybe they'll make it, maybe they won't.
Yeah.
They just contest like crazy. But then I think their offense is better than it gets credit for because the defense is so good.
Yeah.
People are like, well, the offense has to suck, right? So we should rip on the offense. But they've got 3 really good guards. Shedd's incredible at getting to the hoop. He makes big shots usually. He's not a great shooter. But then Cryer and Sharp are fantastic shooters.
Yeah.
Like, they have actual proven guys on the wing. You add that to just the junkyard dog defensive mentality. Yeah, I think the upside's really high. It's a high floor and high ceiling team to me.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I've been a Houston hater for – not a hater, but I've just been like – I'm one of the guys that's quick to point out the Final Four run was Mickey Mouse. And, I remember when Houston and I think it was Gonzaga. Gonzaga was trying to play Houston and Houston like scrambled, but all that's COVID bullshit. But I just remember like there were stretches where I was like, Houston's good, but like Houston, and part of it was the conference they played in, and I was like, I kind of felt like about Houston the way a lot of people felt about Gonzaga for a long time. I was like, yeah, sure, they won 28 games, but like, come on, like who are they really playing? And like it's easy to look good when that defense looks good when you're playing inferior competition and you can just suffocate but like when they play good teams, they're not going to be able to do that, yada, yada, yada. And within the last month or so, I'm slowly talking myself, and it probably is just that they're playing in the Big 12, and it's undeniable. I mean, they're 12-3 in the Big 12. They're probably going to win the league in their first year in the hardest conference in college basketball.
So you're the guy I'm tweeting at every game. I'm like, just wait until Houston has to play a Big 12 schedule. I do that after every win.
Yeah. Right.
Just wait until they have to play the Big 12.
Yeah, it wasn't that I don't know. I was a skeptic. I wouldn't say I was a hater. I was just like a skeptic. And I mean, their Final Four run was Mickey Mouse, Jim. We all know that. They beat Rutgers. Should have beat them. TJ's team fucked it up.
That is valid.
Rutgers had them right there, and they only beat double-digit teams. But yeah, they're legit, and they're very, very good. I guess now that we're bringing it up, and I did mention Houston's non-conference schedule. Brad Brownell's ran.
Oh yeah. The ACC coaches got together.
Yeah, this was a concentrated effort. I respect the hell out of it because I don't think he's wrong. I don't think he's wrong, and yet I don't know if that's. Am I allowed to say that? Like I felt like he kind of. Because I went back and he's if you missed it, Brad Brownell, head coach of Clemson, I'm paraphrasing obviously, had a rant where he was just basically like we have all decided the Big 12 is the best league in the country, but they have gamed the net system where they beat the shit out of inferior teams in non-conference, and then when they get to conference, they all beat each other, and there's no such thing as a bad loss. So. The more they play each other, all their net rankings just keep going up. And then you look up and it's time for Selection Sunday, and the Big 12 is going to get like 10 teams in, whereas the ACC is going to get 4. And that makes no sense because the ACC was 9 and was it 3 or something like that against the Big 12 in head-to-head competition?
Yep.
And most of the time when coaches are ranting about the selection process, my eyes just glaze over and I'm like, who cares? But then I started looking into it. I was like, he might have something here because it does feel, as a guy who is I'm pro analytics, I'm pro data and all that stuff, but I'm also too stupid to fully understand what I'm looking at. I do feel a sense that like if this college basketball season was 3 years long and for the rest of the next 3 years it was just Big 12 teams playing each other, I do think at the end of 3 years the top teams in the country would all be Big 12 teams. It would just be one after another, just like because like every time they play each other, it just keeps going.
More and more Q1 wins.
Yeah, and
it's
eventually
we
would just get to the point where it's like some sort of Q1 Ponzi scheme.
I mean, it's possible. I think the one thing I definitely concede is that a lot of like the middle tier Big 12 played bad non-conference schedules.
Yeah.
Like TCU, Oklahoma, Iowa State, a bunch of them. Sorry, Iowa State, you're not in the middle, but like sub 300 non-conference schedules. Definitely beat up on some bad teams. Iowa State gets the biggest flack is like, oh, you won by 50 instead of 30. Do I really think you're better because you did that? But then you look at what they're doing in the Big 12 and they're the second best team by 2 games. And maybe that stuff does matter. Are you gaming the system or is beating someone by 40 harder than beating someone by 25?
Yeah.
It just is. Like, unless they're completely rolling over, and I guess – oh, you didn't put in walk-ons soon enough, which, maybe you wouldn't have played on a Big 12 team because they're too busy blowing out teams to put in the walk-ons. But, I think there's some of that, but this wasn't a secret. Like, we knew that the net had this efficiency margin component to it where it could be gamed. I say that in air quotes. Like ACC schools had the option of doing that.
That's a great point, yeah. And everyone knew this and could have done it. Just
for example, Jeff Capel also ranted about the Big 12 and how the ACC was disrespected. Jeff Capel's team played the 337th non-conference strength schedule. They beat Florida Gulf Coast by 12. They beat Canisius by 11. Like, if they had beaten those teams by 40, I think it would prove that Pitt's better than the team that beat them by 11. So, I don't know.
The one thing that stood out to me, though, as I was thinking through it, is the Big 12 is the best team or the best conference in the country. But if I'm being completely honest, and as I'm looking at the standings right now, how many actual national title contenders are we looking at in the Big 12? How many teams can you close your eyes and actually picture on April 8th, I think? By the way, very late national championship.
Extremely late.
Extremely late.
The Elite Eight's on April 1st.
Yeah. I mean, we're like almost a month into the MLB season at that point. I got to get to Wrigley Field, man. Like, let's get this Final Four moved up so we can get to Wrigley. Like, this is crazy. But how many teams can you actually picture winning a national championship? Because I think there are a lot of very, very good teams. My list might be Houston, and then that's it.
That's it. Wow.
I think that might, because Iowa State. Okay, you go ahead. I asked you the question. You answer it.
No, we can go back and forth on it. For me, I think it's 3.
Okay.
But Iowa State's not one of them.
Okay.
So, and that's partially because of the offense. I think it stalls.
That's what I was going to say. The offense is.
Yeah, and their defense really thrives on Hilton Magic and playing in front of that crowd, and they've been okay away. But I think healthy Kansas could get up there if you get McCullough on the floor, but from some of Self's quotes, it sounds like he may never be healthy.
I don't think healthy Kansas exists.
Yeah, unfortunately. And then the other one to me is Baylor.
Yeah.
I think the ceiling is there for Baylor.
Yeah.
Like, their losses in Big 12 are overtime, triple overtime, by one possession. I think that team's really good. The guard play is there. They've got a ton of shooting. It's not quite, they don't defend anywhere near the level of the team that won the national title, but I think their ceiling's high enough. But no, I won't accept Iowa State. I won't accept BYU. I won't accept any of the Texas
schools. Yeah. I would agree that Baylor would be number 2 on my list. I would put them above Kansas because I don't think we're. I had problems with Kansas before McCullough went down, just like their depth and both in terms of this exact thing. Like when an injury happens or guys get tired or foul trouble, there's a million different reasons you need more than 4 good players on your team. Furphy was coming along there, and you kind of were like, all right, well now they have a 5th starter, but still the bench was. I don't know. It's I didn't love this Kansas team really from the preseason. So now I really don't love Kansas. Baylor, I do see the path, I guess, for Baylor. You're right. Like guard play and offense.
And again, like
I just
none of the other teams are that good.
Yeah,
so maybe,
you get like the right matchups where it's like because Baylor could play. If Baylor's playing like a Kentucky and it's like a track meet and it's up and down and it's a guard game, Baylor's like, all right, let's do this. This will be fun.
They beat Auburn in a track meet first game of the year on a neutral floor. So like it kind of shows what
I think they play slower, but like they're still willing or like they have the horses to run and they have the talent to keep up with teams. But like you said, the defense will be the question mark there. Yes. But yeah, that's I find that fascinating because the Big 12 is so obviously the best league, but yet I personally, and you feel free to disagree, I do not find it the most interesting for some reason. And why is that? Is it because of what I just said? Is it because now I got to think about what I think is the most interesting. I think
league.
The SEC and the Big East, I found myself all things being equal, just a bunch of random games on one night, I find myself gravitating to those 2 leagues.
You're just still a Fox shill. You want to watch Big East on Fox. That's exactly what it is.
I want to watch John Fanta. I want to see, I want to see Rob Stone at halftime with LaVall Jordan.
Especially last year, it's not quite the same this year, but every like top half of Big East game last year was incredible. Like Providence, UConn, Marquette, Creighton. You put any of those teams in a game against each other, and it was like down to the wire, final minute type stuff, like big time shot making. It's not quite to that degree this year, but you know what? I think I buy that the Big 12 isn't the one I'm most interested in watching.
And why is that? Like, what do you think the Big 12? Because honestly, I don't even know if this is just this year, but it seems to be.
Is it more physical? It's more defensive.
The last
slower?
few years, maybe it's like it's. I enjoy watching it. I think the teams are good. Like the Houston Iowa State game was just disgusting in some ways, but it was also like they're both, if not the 2 best defensive teams in the country, than 2 of them, and I enjoyed watching it. But like it's not that for me, but it is like I don't know if it's the coaches, like the coaches aren't. They're just interesting. Is that what it is?
They're just good at their jobs instead of being characters.
Yeah,
like
there's not enough.
We need more like the SEC. We've got all kinds of characters there,
all over the place.
From that standpoint of like the kind of basketball they play, the Big 12 is 21st in efficiency and 27th in tempo out of 32 leagues.
Yeah.
The SEC is 4th and 4th. It's like you're getting faster, you're getting more points, you're getting more made shots. Like it's just that aesthetic of basketball is probably more fun, and that comes from having Kentucky and Alabama and Tennessee, these teams that just go.
Yeah, I think you're right. The Mark Titus Show is brought to you by BodyArmor Zero Sugar. BodyArmor Zero Sugar is a new zero sugar sports drink from our friends at BodyArmor with no artificial sweeteners, flavors, or dyes. Whether you're looking to stay hydrated or recovering from a long weekend, BodyArmor Zero Sugar has got you covered. BodyArmor Zero Sugar has great tasting flavors like fruit punch and lemon lime. I have been drinking a lot of the lemon lime. This is a godsend for me because I am I'm a zero sugar guy. I drink all the I don't love the high calorie drinks as much. And for BodyArmor to be putting these out, this is right up my alley. I love the taste of the BodyArmors. BodyArmor is all we drink around here, and to have the zero sugar option now is just perfect for me. I've been smashing the lemon lime. They're all great. The fruit punch is very, very good as well. BodyArmor is available in stores nationwide, but you can head on over to the BodyArmor store now on Amazon and get yours today. What else have we not?
I have a question for you a couple questions for you, but we talked Kentucky. So what would be more fun or entertaining? You can take this from a fan standpoint, from a content standpoint, however you want to.
Okay.
Kentucky goes far, plays 5 games, makes it to the Final Four. We see a ton of great Kentucky games. Or Kentucky loses in the first round, and we get discourse about Calipari, and which one's more fun for you, Mark
this is
Titus?
hard. This is so hard because I love this Kentucky team so much. They're so fun to watch. But if Cal loses in the first round, they're not firing him because he's on a lifetime contract, and they would have to kill him. So I don't think they're.
You gonna put that past Big Blue Nation?
That's true. That's true. They're gonna have to execute him in the town square.
It could be an accident.
Yeah, just an
accident.
But they will. I do seriously believe if Cal loses in the first round, I don't necessarily think he's definitely going to lose his job, but I do believe there will be conversations behind closed doors of like, John, how much do you really want to do this?
Yeah.
Are you having fun? Because it's just a question. It's just a question. Like, is this something you see yourself doing?
Are those kids starting to bother you? Right.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. Is there anything else you might be interested in pursuing in your life outside of being the head basketball coach at Kentucky?
We could find a spot in the athletic department for you.
I do think that will happen. And if Kentucky then, if this coaching carousel has Kentucky open up, that's so good. That's so good for content. Because Louisville be open.
A sitting head coach will leave to take Kentucky, which opens wherever they're leaving from. Yes. And it's just,
Kentucky will be open. Ohio State is open. Louisville will be open.
I teased you. I got you going now.
Oh, my God. Michigan will be open, I think. And then the trickle down from that, because like you said, like anybody could take the Kentucky job. Like that could be a guy at a big program.
Yep.
That then opens up that big program, and
so it's all this or Reed Sheppard and Rod Dillingham playing in Phoenix when you're there.
I think I have to look out for the kids. I think it's
that's how you frame it.
Who's going to care about the kids if not me? You know, I've always been a proponent for these kids, and I want to see these boys on the biggest stage. I don't want Kentucky to win it. That's the funniest part about it is like, I love this Kentucky team more than anyone outside of Lexington probably, and I despise Kentucky basketball's program like that. Like my father raised me to hate Kentucky more than Purdue, and
wow.
I can't get enough of this particular group. So I think I want to see them in the Final Four. I just don't want them to win the national championship.
Okay, fair. Bangs.
But I would be so sad if they lose to some team that's like not even that good, and then now I am a hater with that, Jim, by the way. Like the Cinderella stories in the NCAA tournament, I liked them for the first weekend, but once the first weekend's over, get them the fuck out of my face.
100%.
Get them out of my face.
I want Sweet 16 to be heavy hitters and Elite Eight games to be heavy hitters.
You can make this. I'm fine with you making the Sweet 16, but once you're there, please step aside and let everyone else. Like, please lose by 100, so like the game to go to the Final Four doesn't have a 12 seed. But
there's one exception to this, right? It's when St. Peter's beat Purdue in the Sweet 16.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that was
you
funny.
accepted that.
That was very funny. Okay, so my final answer is I do think I want Kentucky. What about you?
I think I want them to keep playing too, because they're just a blast to watch.
They're so fun.
They're actually one of the other futures portfolio teams like UConn, which I think bodes well. Yeah,
I think the other thing we've been talking about how fun they are. I think they bring out the most fun in the other teams as well.
This is that's great. Yep.
You know, like I really think that a guy like Josh Hubbard, who's a good player, but I think there's part of like he's playing Kentucky and he's feeling it, and it's like it's partially the jerseys, and it's like anytime guys play Kentucky, they're gonna, no matter who's on the roster for Kentucky, you're gonna bring your A game because it's Kentucky. But there is something about like, you're watching Rob Dillingham and Antonio Reeves and Reed Sheppard and all these other dudes going off, and you're like, well, shit, I can do that too. And like you start feeling the juices flow a little bit. It's so fun to watch. They're so fun to watch.
I'm so proud of Calipari for embracing like the pace and kind of stopping micromanaging. And like, all right, we'll be a 3-point shooting team instead of an offensive rebounding, grass clashing machine. So
But if they do lose, I'm not gonna be sad.
Okay, all right. All this to say,
all this to say, if they lose in the first round. That is a delightful silver lining.
Yep. Yeah. Okay, I've got a bunch of these. If you want to keep going.
Yeah,
through
dude,
them.
this is great.
Make you really choose. All right, we'll give you an Ohio State one. I'm gonna start there.
All right.
What would you rather have? Again, fan or content, whatever you want to take it as. Ohio State makes a big run here, gets in the dance. They hire Jake Diebler. He is the guy. Or unfortunately, they miss the tournament, but then they land the coach of your choice.
Okay, now hang on a second, because
This again, you might have to look after the kids here. This does put you in a tough spot too.
If there's one thing in the world of basketball I love more than the kids, it's Brad Stevens.
Okay. All right. I guess, if he's the coach of choice. Right.
Okay. The problem with the Ohio State coaching search is I truly don't know who I want. And this is like, and it's not because I don't think there are great candidates out there. It's more that like I'm kind of fucked up by like having confidence in past coaching hires. The two I point to are Archie Miller at Indiana and Mick Cronin at UCLA. I felt very, very confident that Archie Miller would be good at Indiana. I felt very, very confident that Mick Cronin not that he's a bad coach. He's always been a very good coach, but that like the people of UCLA would run him out of town because it's just stylistically not what they're after. And like, this is not, after you've had Ben Howland and Steve Alford, like you wanted something different. And
they flirted with it this year.
Yeah.
They almost got there, but they've righted the ship a little bit.
And now you get Mick Cronin. Like, I just didn't think that was going to be a good fit. And then Mick, out this year notwithstanding, has been killing it. And Archie obviously was not. So like, as I think about who I want for Ohio State, I don't even really know.
So does that default you to make a run? To make a run.
Okay. I would love if Jake got the job. He's not going to. The only thing I would not like for him is that I don't know. He's awesome, great dude, great. I think he's going to have a great career. I don't want him to start his career, the first head coaching job he has, is like he's just not set up for success, and then like he's kind of like chasing the failure of like if he ends up, he's not going to, but in this hypothetical, he's no longer the interim. He gets like a 4-year contract and it doesn't go well because he's just not set up for success. Then they fire him, and then now like he's going to spend the rest of his career with that stink on it. Like he's trying to like outrun that Ohio State. You know what I mean?
I'm trying to.
I don't want that to happen.
Is there a comparison like David Padgett at Louisville when he took over for Pitino? It's like, this didn't really work out. He hasn't gotten a head coaching job since. I don't know if he's seeking one or not, but it does feel like, if you you failed on that stage,
you're obviously not a good coach, and I don't think that would be the case. So I would rather. I think it'd be best for Jake's career if he went somewhere smaller and build it up a little more organically.
Okay.
But having said that, I love Jake Diebler. Who are we going to hire? Who should we hire? Tell me how to feel.
I think you just take the Dusty May swing. I don't see why not. I mean, we compared this to Stanford and Cal. Cal fired their coach. Stanford did not. And Cal hires Stanford alum Mark Madsen, who is like widely regarded as a great coach. Yeah. And Stanford misses out on that. I feel like if Ohio State, they could do that to Indiana, where I know May isn't like an Indiana alum, but I feel like that marriage makes sense.
I think he is an Indiana alum.
Is he really?
I think he's an IU
I know he
alum,
has the connections with Bob Knight and everything.
I think he is, yeah.
But so then you kind of like swipe that from underneath Indiana, and suddenly you're winning with the Indiana guy against Indiana in the Big Ten.
I know.
I like the idea of that hire a lot.
That's the one fear I would have. I like the way you said it. My fear would be if Dusty May goes to Ohio State, he's just going to be sitting there waiting for IU to open, and I don't want a coach who's like looking elsewhere at all. You know, like just keeps looking. He just keeps looking west, and he's like, I like it here, but like
every time they play at Indiana, he's like, I love this
she's
place.
Kind of hot over there. I can't stop. I don't want that. I want him locked in on what we got here. I don't know what we're gonna do. I have it on good authority. Is that how you say that? There are wheels turning to get Thad back to Columbus.
No way! I swear, I listened to your emergency pod, and you're like, he's not taking it. It's not happening.
It's not on Thad. I think people in Columbus they want Thad.
They've seen the other side of the fence, and they're like, we want to go back over.
My
to my
hesitancy, when I said like Thad's not going to take the job, like I'm speaking from the Thad point of view, which is like I think he is in hog heaven at Butler. Like that's where he wants to die is in Hinkle Fieldhouse. So that part of me thinks like he wouldn't do it. Now, if I'm being completely honest, that would be the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. I think if like my mom and dad got divorced and then got back together,
it was happy. You're like,
I was like, this is working. This is awesome.
Yeah,
this would be crazy. So I would love for it to happen, but I've been told by multiple people that Ohio, like, I don't know if he's like their top target, but like it's a real thing. It's not just like fans like throwing it around like,
okay,
hey, we should hire Thad again. It's like actual money people are like, no, I want thad-matta. We're gonna get thad-matta. That's who my vote is. And there are a lot of moving parts and a lot of but that would be crazy. That would be,
man. I didn't know that there was actual momentum for that. That's exciting.
And
I can't wait for the carousel. It's gonna be great.
I'm curious if like that, like Butler is, the wheels are falling off for Butler a little bit.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna make you talk about it after they got blown out against St. John's last night.
They're coming to. They play DePaul on Saturday, and I'm gonna go to the game. Maybe I'll just ask them point blank. I'll just be like that. Or Ohio State, your thoughts?
Do you want to keep coming here and playing DePaul, or do you want to go back to Ohio State and play in the Big Ten?
No, it's hard because I love my Butler people, and there are a lot of Butler fans that do listen to the show, and I'm not trying to take your coach, but also you have to understand, like if you have to understand that if I can push a button and get thad-matta back in Columbus, like that is, I have to push the button. So anyway. Quick break to talk about our friends at Visible. You know trap games, right? Opponents seems like nothing to worry about. You don't pay enough attention, and all of a sudden you're down 10 in the second half. Wireless can feel like that too. You sign up, take it for granted, and all of a sudden you're stuck. You need a way out. If you feel trapped by your wireless, Visible is your escape plan. On the Visible plan, you get one-line wireless for just $25 a month, taxes and fees included. It is one-line wireless, $25 a month on the Visible plan, and like I said, taxes and fees are included. It is unlimited 5G data powered by Verizon. If your wireless feels like a trap, find your escape plan with Visible. Switch today at Visible.com. On the Visible plan, you truly pay $25 a month. Taxes and fees, I've said it, I'll say it again because I cannot stress this enough. They are not tacked on after the fact. You will not be surprised by anything. Taxes and fees are included. You don't need a multi-line plan to save. A lot of carriers make it feel impossible to leave. Visible wants to make you stay. Even good teams can slip into a trap game. Great teams find a way out. Visible is your wireless escape plan. Monthly rate on the Visible plan. For additional terms and network management practices, see Visible.com. Switch to Visible.com. Switch today at Visible.com. Visible.com. $25 a month. Taxes and fees included.
All right, next one.
Go ahead.
You can only choose one. Either Duke goes far or UNC goes far. So you get RJ Davis going through, or you get kind of the Duke narrative.
The Kyle Filipowski.
All the stories. I'm sure you can't court storm an NCAA tournament game, but it'd be great to watch. Hey, we did bring up court storming. We got back to it. But you only get one of those blue bloods to go far. Which one are you choosing?
Well, Duke is so good beyond Filipowski too. Like they have so many like.
McCain is ridiculous.
Yeah.
He had like 27.5 against Florida State or something like that.
Yeah, he's good. That's tough. I just enjoy watching RJ Davis though. I think it might be Carolina. And I'm definitely pro Carolina in the Carolina Duke rivalry. You're basically asking me like, am I motivated by hatred or like love?
yeah.
Like what fuels me as a basketball fan?
Yeah.
I think I would rather Carolina. I would rather Carolina. What about you?
I think it's Duke for me.
Okay.
I don't know if this is like we've painted ourselves into a corner saying we're not huge Hubert fans as a X and O guy. And we would look pretty dumb if suddenly he goes to two Final Fours in 3 years. That would be tough on us. But I actually like watching this Duke team play. I think the fact that they've got four guards who can all score, create, that's entertaining to me. Mark Mitchell seems to have figured it out, despite having the yips for like a month and a half. And then Filipowski's their best player. So I'm gonna pick Duke, which is kind of insane for 5 years ago me or 10 years ago me, because all I could do was root against them.
Well, maybe it's best for the villain arc of Duke if in this year where
can we get John Char to be hateable again?
Yeah. Kyle Filipowski has emerged, and like suddenly this past week people were like, yeah, I do kind of hate that. I thought it was gonna be hard in the post Coach K era, but here we are. I fucking hate these guys.
Yeah, can Ryan Young throw a dirty elbow at one point? That'd be great.
If Shire can go to a Final Four, then in the same year where all this court storming bullshit's going on, maybe that unlocks some stuff.
If he could, like, every single press conference just be like, yeah, well, we're just lucky we still have Flip. Like, slip that in every time. Just bring it up, but subtly.
They put out an injury report for Kyle Filipowski every game for the rest of the season. He's
We're still running tests just to make sure there's no lingering effects.
It's probable, and in parentheses it says court storm.
I honestly, Duke, lean into it. Be a troll. People would love it. People would talk about it.
That's so good.
I would be all about that. All right, Big Ten centric.
Okay.
Illinois going far with their offense, with Coleman Hawkins storylines, or Michigan State going far with Izzo and their guards and some of the shot making that Tyson Walker can have out there. And you get that's going to be real good for John Rothstein.
Right. That's catchphrase. That's
Yep.
The whole Izzo and March thing. This Michigan State team doesn't deserve it. They're not good. They're not. Okay. I think like if the bracket comes out and you have Michigan State going far, I'm not telling you you're wrong. I'm not. This is obviously the most unpredictable sport in the world, and crazier things have happened. But if you are in fact doing that, you are doing that solely because you do believe that there is some sort of magic to those uniforms and that coach, and that's it. I don't think Michigan State has shown me very little this year to believe that like they are going to put it together and get back to the team that we saw last year going into this year. And maybe I'm just saying that because I watched Ohio State come back from down 12 on their home court, and I've watched this Ohio State team just fold like a fucking chair over and over again in those spots. And for them to do that against Michigan State, that's a stink that they can't wash off for me. So I'm going Illinois because I also think Illinois is just a more fun team than Michigan State, and I would like to see Brad Underwood losing his mind on the sidelines and like you said, the Coleman Hawkins experience, which can be good, bad, and ugly all at the same time. Damask is fun.
And, I mean, like we were talking about earlier, a chance you get like them versus Alabama or them versus Kentucky where it's just 75, 80 possessions of lights out shooting.
Right. And Illinois fans deserve – I can't believe that this is real, that they have not been to a Sweet 16 since 2005. That blows my mind.
Well, how'd that one go?
In 2005.
Sorry, Illinois fans. I had to.
Yeah. But the fact that like they come off of that season, you would have assumed that
we're a juggernaut.
Yeah, not that I understand that it's hard to sustain that level of play, but like you would have assumed that like they've been to at least one Sweet 16 since then, and they haven't. So I would like to see Illinois. Illinois to me is the second best team in the Big Ten, and I would like to see that reflected in March Madness.
Yeah, so. I buy that. Well, the Buzzcut Badgers have fallen off the cliff.
What happened to Wisconsin?
It's kind of hard to figure because it's not like either side of the ball has collapsed the way like Illinois' defense has.
Yeah,
it just seems like they had it and it's gone now, and they're just kind of like confidence is shaken.
Yeah,
not making as many shots, not taking as good as shots. They're tumbling.
And it's snowballing. And it's just like...
I mean, they are going to be the most... Because they still have like 12 Q1, Q2 wins. They're going to be the most popular 5 seed losing to a 12 seed upset pick. And it's probably going to be correct. Like, I have no issue with that choice.
2-6 in their last 8. The 2 wins are Ohio State and Maryland at home.
Ugh.
So...
Yeah, it's
lose... what do you think of the... What happened with the Indiana game, by the way? Well, do we ever get a report on that?
We don't know who pulled the fire alarm.
There was a fire alarm that was pulled.
Yeah. Well, and did you see Guard like really lean into it?
Oh yeah.
And he was like, "We were making a run."
Yeah.
And somebody pulled. It's all right.
Oh,
man.
Guard. Hell, Big Cat's doing it. He's like, he's like, that's one of the greatest college basketball what ifs of all time now. It's like, what if that fire alarm's not pulled? Wisconsin wins that game. The momentum starts building, and
butterfly effect right there. That's the sliding doors moment.
They're not going to miss the tournament, are they?
No, they legitimately will probably still get like a 5 or 6 seed because they built up a lot of good equity with wins and did stuff away from home early on in league play. And
I didn't mean to say that they should, but I'm just like looking at their schedule. They got Illinois, Rutgers, and Purdue to close out the season. Like if they lose out, they're not going to miss the tournament. You're right. They beat Marquette.
The worst case scenario is 18-14 with a Big Ten quarterfinal loss, or maybe I guess they're probably not going to be top 4 if they lose out. Yeah, it would be ugly. They would be such a hotly debated team of like we should bring back last 12 performance into the committee selection process. They don't deserve to be here. They're not playing well.
But it's very much a possibility that they lose out. I mean, Rutgers is not good, and they have, but Rutgers is a coin flip as to like which team's going to show it. Like they've never been great, but it's like
TJ's going to be so bummed. He's missing the Rutgers discussion as he stepped out for a phone call.
TJ just stepped out for a phone. We should talk about the Rutgers. Let's do that while TJ's out. Yeah. Anyway, what was the question? It was Illinois or
Illinois or Michigan State, and you settled pretty convincingly.
Yeah,
I'm
Illinois. You agree with that?
Yeah.
Michigan State just. I continue to worry about Izzo. I worry that like. I'll shut up.
He feels like the next guy who's sick of this type of
right. And every time I say that, I get people that know Izzo very well will reach out to me and they're like, "You're wrong on that. He's very much committed to winning another national championship." And I'm like, I understand that, but it doesn't really work that way. You can't just be like, I've decided. You know what I've decided? I'm gonna win another. Fuck it, I'll do it. I'll win another national championship. But that seems to be the attitude. Is like, no, he's not going anywhere until he wins another one. And I'm like, we could be here a while.
Yeah. It's almost like when a group of people just decide to make 41 straight free throws, and you're going to be there a while.
Yeah. Yes. Tom Izzo decided he wants to win a national championship. Is Dave Portnoy saying, "Yeah, we'll just make 41 free throws." I guess it was more Dan actually with the.
What a push. All right, I have two other questions I want to get, and we can do anything else you want to talk. I don't know if we're going long, short, or whatever. I don't either. I don't even remember I don't even remember when we started or how long this is going. Perfect.
Cody, are we long? 55. Oh, perfect. This is great.
Cool. All right. One, you've been a proponent of I will accept NCAA tournament expansion if it means we get better games Tuesday, Wednesday, and that starts to feel more like the tournament. Mm-hmm. So we're not getting that this year, obviously. It's not going to happen. But if we get something like New Mexico versus St. John's, and you get Pitino versus Pitino on Tuesday or Wednesday, or Tony Bennett or Mark Few is there, Villanova is there.
Yeah.
Like, I think we've got a chance for an actual highly entertaining couple of first four games, where in the past it's just like Kansas State and Arizona State for the right to lose next round, or whatever. But there's going to be some like major storylines this season.
Yeah, there is. I didn't even think about that.
I guess there wasn't a question there. I don't know if you were listening for one, but it was mostly like, does that at least excite you? The fact that the first four could actually be something that a casual fan would be interested in.
For the record, I am not, and write this down on the record, Cody. I am not someone who wants expansion. I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. I don't think it's going to kill the magic of the NCAA tournament. Now, I also realize that I might be saying that naively. Is that a word? Is naively a word? Look that up. Is naively a word? It is a word.
Context clues. We know what you're saying, at least at minimum.
Where if the ripple effect is like we're expanding the tournament so we can get more shitty power conference teams in, which I think is what it is.
Yeah.
I don't love that. But if you're telling me we're expanding the tournament, so a situation like, say, in the Missouri Valley, you have a Drake team that's good and fun. You have an Indiana State team that's good and fun. It might come down to only one of them can make the tournament. I would love a world where both of them can make that tournament.
Yeah.
So if that's what expansion is like we get more fun. The Mountain West is getting more teams in and stuff like that.
If they like shoehorned it too to be like, all right, we'll get a couple more disappointing power conference teams, but that team has to play a Drake in the first four.
Yeah.
And it's like it's specifically contractually geared to where it's one of the best mid-majors that missed and the dreg power conference team that went 8-11 or 8-10 in league play. And that I think just immediately creates narratives where some people are going to cheer for the underdog and like there is all that going on.
I do think the first four, if we're going to keep it like this, I want to get rid of the 16 games. I'm sorry to all the 16 seeds. I'm sorry. I know they love winning one tournament game. I would rather see all the teams that are on the bubble. And I think there's merit to the argument of like if you win your conference tournament, you should not have to play on Tuesday or Wednesday. And then the flip side is always that the smaller schools are like, we want to play. We want to win.
Yeah, and like the money, we get a share of money for winning a game. Like, but sort out the money.
I know. I think they should like rewrite how you get the money. And I think the best scenario to me is we treat the play-in like an actual play-in, which is to say like the NCAA stops calling it the first four. We stop giving like full shares to teams that win those games. And if you win the game, you don't get fucking anything. You get into the tournament. That's it. That's all you get. That doesn't count as a tournament win. That doesn't count. If you lose, you miss the NCAA tournament. This is just purely we're taking all the bubble teams, and instead of arguing it behind closed doors with a committee, we're letting you play each other.
Yeah, well,
the winners get into the tournament. The losers, you miss the tournament. And if you lose in the first four, you should go to the NIT. Like they should start the NIT a couple days later.
Yeah.
But your season should be over. I don't know.
My one the one thing that sucks about all that is like with every level of expansion, there's always 3 teams that just missed. No matter where the cutoff is, and those teams are always going to complain, and there's always going to be this like, why shouldn't I be in there? And it's
the hard part this year for me though is like, I'm biased. I understand that, whatever, but I hope people can see through the bias and see the greater point. You have a team like Butler that's now falling apart and on the wrong side of the bubble, if they're even still on the bubble. They're not going to make the NCAA tournament. But Butler won on the home court of Creighton. They won on the home court of Marquette. Butler has demonstrated that they are a competent basketball team at times, and they can beat if the standard is like how good is your best and how good can you actually be. Like they have demonstrated that they can maybe not beat anybody on a given night, but like the fact that they went to Marquette and did that is something. And I use that as an example to say there are a lot of Butler type teams out there that like could theoretically, if you give them a shot in the NCAA tournament, the way the parity has trended in college basketball is like I believe that the best team in college basketball this year is probably not as good as the best team in college basketball was like 15 years ago.
Yeah.
But the 53rd best team in college basketball this year would smoke the 53rd best team, or like whatever number you want to call it, you know? And I think that makes the expansion discussion more interesting to me, because I do think that like the waters are very muddy in between trying to figure out like who's the 40th best. Like rank for me the 40th best through the 60th best. Take all 20 of those teams and rank them for me. And it's like,
I have no idea.
Dude, they're all the same team.
Yep.
And like, where do we draw that line? I don't really know. But like you said, maybe all we're going to do is just, if we move the line down, we still have the same problem. Just
Yeah.
You know,
well,
with,
and like the best
group.
example of all this is the UCLA team, and I know it was a Mickey Mouse tournament, so don't get all over that. But they lost 7 of their final 12, including their last 4, and then suddenly they're in the final 4. And it's like, so I guess a team of that level can make the run. It's capable. They can do it, but I don't know. I'm not too concerned about it.
Quick break to talk about our friends at Rhoback Activewear. You guys all know how much we love Rhoback. Best fit, best feel. We can't go anywhere without seeing someone wearing a Rhoback performance hoodie. Simply put, these are so soft you will not be able to take them off. The thing I love about the performance hoodie, it truly is for any weather, any occasion. I find myself wearing a hoodie when I'm just lounging around on the couch, and it's starting to get a little warmer now, and the weather here in the Midwest has been fluctuating like crazy. And it is funny how when it's very, very cold, I reach for my Rhoback performance hoodie, I throw it on, and I say, I'm going to need to bundle up because it's a little cold outside. When it starts to get a little warmer, I say, you know what would be great for like a 60-degree day is a Rhoback performance hoodie, and pull the sleeves up a little bit, get a little casual with it. It goes with anything. It's comfortable with anything. You can dress up with one. You can lounge around on the couch wearing Rhoback. They also pair great with the performance joggers. They are made to move in and are incredibly comfortable. Some would say the best duo on the market, and I certainly would not disagree. They also just restocked their performance crew necks, and when I say they are soft, I mean it. Made with Butterflex fabric. It is soft to the skin with stretch that allows you to move. Rhoback is perfect. I will say it again, for any occasion you can think of. It is always appropriate. It always plays. When you make high-quality stuff like this, you're going out to a nice dinner. You can throw on some joggers and a performance hoodie, and the Rhoback is so nice that it actually does. It fits. It fits at nice restaurants. It fits chilling on the couch watching basketball. So go to Rhoback. Use code Titus on Rhoback.com for 20% off your first purchase. RHOBACK.com. 20% off performance hoodies, crew necks, joggers, and more with code Titus. Rhoback.com.
This did tie in a little bit to my last small point, very just kind of a joking question. But I don't think it'll be thad-matta. But which coach will have the funniest stump speech after they miss the tournament complaining?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Buzz Williams is probably a lock for this.
Let me pull up the I got to pull up bracket matrix.
Okay, I'll give you a couple other I started to make odds on this too because I'm a sicko. I have Buzz Williams minus 300 favorite. It seems like the heavy favorite. Jeff Capel's in there. Chris Beard is a potential candidate. I think Kim English would be a surprising one. Very media savvy guy. I think he'd know what to say.
Yeah.
Providence is more than likely to make the field right now, I think.
Kim English, though, wouldn't be – Kim English would actually just be convincing and like not entertaining.
You'd be like, all right, you made a good case.
Yeah, I'm like, damn, dude, that's a great case. I don't want a guy to make a great case. I want a guy to be like unhinged, lunatic a little bit.
So then my final case here is, and Cody, you might like this. I think Jim Boeheim on Red Autry's behalf. He is on ESPN, and I think he would just come on and be like, it is absolutely ridiculous that Syracuse didn't make it, and he's got no. You know, he's a TV guy now. He doesn't have to suck up to the committee. Yeah. I think he could go full scorched earth, and I would love it.
He's just like, he's screaming, like he's He's screaming like Ryan Day with Lou Holtz. He's like, "Where's Joe Lunardi? Where is he?" Yeah, exactly. And Joe's like, "Jim, you understand that I didn't do this. Like, I never did any of this." He's like, "Shut the fuck up, Joe. I'm gonna beat your ass." And Joe's like, what?
I'm just in my little bunker,
I'm
man.
not on the committee, Jim.
Yeah. I think that's my dream outcome. If Syracuse gets just close enough that Boeheim has to go off.
I've been loving the Pitino, even though they beat the hell out of Butler, and that made me sad last night. I've been loving the Pitino, like, panic-ish, if you want to call it that. Like, Rick is starting to deliver. I was worried because I was so fired up for him to be at St. John's for the content, and when they lost to Michigan early in the year, I was like, damn, dude, they might just kind of like not be that great this year. And it has been a little bit of a bummer because St. John's is not a bad team, but they haven't been good enough to where Rick Pitino is. Like, when I sit down in this chair to do shows, I wanted it to be a situation where I can, if I have nothing to talk about, I can just talk about Rick Pitino because he's relevant. We're all talking about him and whatever else. That has not been the case. And boy, he's come on late. He's been doing a great job lately.
Typically not a guy that.
Oh no!
I'm sorry.
We should just end it there.
Okay, fair enough.
We should end it there. That's incredible. His name is Jim Root. He's with the 3-Man Weave. He's been on this show a handful of times. We love him here.
Breaking news.
What's breaking news?
Oh,
Talk, use the microphone, Cody.
No.
Caitlin Clark announced she's going to the draft next year.
Caitlin Clark announced that she's going to the good breaking news, Cody. And who has the first pick in the WNBA draft? My beloved Indiana Fever. Let's go.
Clark and Boston are going to put together some dynasties.
Dude, am I getting Fever season tickets? I might get. How much are Fever season tickets? This is something.
I assume the price is currently rising.
Yeah,
given that announcement.
Indiana Fever season tickets. Yeah, because we were toying with the idea on Mostly Sports of buying Chicago Sky. We are the preeminent WNBA podcast. Mostly Sports.
I bet the WNBA like competitively. I love the WNBA.
Okay, so maybe we aren't. Maybe 3-Man Weave is.
No, we don't talk about it. I'll talk about it any time, but that's behind closed doors.
No, we just do the WNBA Immaculate Grid, and we usually get like 4 out of 9, and we feel really good about it. Okay, 2024 season WNBA season tickets. The most expensive. Oh. Something sold out. What's sold out? Sold out. The most expensive, the Blues. So that's the courtside sold out, but like the ones right behind the courtside, you're not going to have feet on wood, but you're going to be behind that. $1,300 for the total season.
It's something like I think it's 20 games. I think they have 40-game season last year.
That's it. Yeah, per game is. Yeah, it says right there. 130. So that's. So yeah, that's 10
almost free.
That's 10 home games. 10 home games, 10 road games. Yeah. $130 to watch Aaliyah Boston and Caitlin Clark, dude. Let's do it.
I think Titus is sold.
I might have to do it.
Are you doing Scottsdale? Will you be out in Phoenix?
Yeah, we'll be out. Okay. We'll be out in Phoenix. Yeah, we're excited about that. But women's basketball, more women's basketball stuff. The Final Four is in Cleveland, and my Buckeyes are ranked second in the country. So I have not booked anything. I don't want to be blamed for a jinx. But I have started to form a plan for. I've started an exploratory committee for a situation where I have to be in Phoenix covering the men's Final Four, and the Buckeyes are in Cleveland playing for a national championship. How do I get back and forth? Which is to say, I am Googling the price of private jets.
I was just like, can't you just call Kirk Herbstreit, get his private jet? Yeah. Like, come on, yeah.
I'm trying to figure out whose private jet is going from Phoenix to Cleveland that I can hop on. Jim, thanks so much, dude. We always love having you on the show. Thanks for chopping it up with us. We do love you guys on this show. We love all the guys, the 3-Man Weave guys. But you're pulling away from the field for appearances on this show, so
I'm hoping to lap him.
I gotta smooth that over with the other.
No,
you
don't.
Okay.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
Thanks, Jim.
Appreciate it.
All right, thank you to Jim. Fun conversation with him. He put my brain in a pretzel trying to figure out what I want out of Kentucky because I think I might go back on what I said. I said I was for the kids, but really, I'm for John Calipari content. I think that's really what I'm for. Is if John Calipari loses in the first round this year, I have to see the bigger picture. I have to sacrifice a fun Kentucky team for John Calipari content. So I think I might be walking that back. I don't know. Just like Kentucky, this Kentucky team itself, I am going back and forth on how much I want, like in the same way that I'm like, I think this Kentucky team's good. Nope, never mind. Change my mind. They actually suck out. Nope, never mind. Yep, they're winning the national title. That's where I am with this hypothetical he threw at me. Would I rather John Calipari lose in the first round or get to watch Rob Dillingham and Reed Sheppard play well into the NCAA tournament? That's a tough one. A couple shout-outs before we get out of here. R.I.P. Richard Lewis, Curb Your Enthusiasm legend. Also a Buckeye legend. Richard Lewis was forever the guy that I would point to as an Ohio State alum. It's him and R.L. Stein. Those are the two. Those are the two Ohio State alums outside the realm of sports that I would point to and be proud of as a Buckeye. He's so funny. He was so good on Curb Your Enthusiasm. And he passed away, and it breaks my heart to see Larry David sad. I saw that statement that Larry David put out that he was he'll never forgive Richard Lewis for making him cry or whatever. But yeah, Richard Lewis was a Buckeye, and he was a proud Buckeye as well. He would wear like Ohio State hats on Curb and tweet about the Buckeyes and all that sort of thing. And we need more of that because there aren't a ton of famous Ohio State alums outside of sports. We need more. Yeah, I think the mom from Everybody Loves Raymond, Patricia Heaton, I think's her name. I don't know why I'm asking you guys. You guys are way too young to have any idea what I'm talking about. I think she went to Ohio State, but do you know who R.L. Stein is?
Yeah, author.
Yeah, the Goosebumps guy. All right,
Yeah.
I was worried about that one as well.
I didn't know that they were a Buckeye.
Yeah,
I also couldn't tell you if that's a man or a woman.
R.L. Stein, he's a man. I say this lovingly. Apologies to the Stein family, but he is kind of a grotesque-looking man. He looks like a Goosebumps type guy. Like when you see a picture of him, you're like, yeah, it checks out that he would wreck Goosebumps.
We got Kelsey Grammer is our big.
Oh.
He did not go to Rutgers. I think he's just a big Rutgers enjoyer now. I've met him a couple of times at events. Yeah, he'll just like be on the sidelines. Kelsey Grammer and Marco Battaglia hanging out on the sidelines of a Rutgers football game.
That's interesting.
Yeah, obviously Gandolfini was.
Gandolfini
number
was the
one,
guy.
but
Yeah. I feel bad that I said R.L. Stein's grotesque.
I mean,
that's
you write a book called Goosebumps. You gotta have a little bit of self-awareness.
Dude, look, Google. Tell me if that was fair or not. Like he's not a disgusting man. It's just more like the headshots he puts out.
Yeah.
Like the smile and his eyes. Like he's kind of like leaning into it, of like trying to be a little
creepy.
What do you think, Cody? Okay, all right. Well, that's worse than what I said. But yeah, he's a Buckeye. Yeah, the Goosebumps guy. What else? I think that's it. Shout out Kyle Filipowski, comeback player of the year. Inspiring story to see him walking. Honestly, just walking again is enough for me. But for him to get back out on the court, that's very inspiring. DeMar Hamlin, shades of DeMar Hamlin. Really, that's the vibe I got. Was this is DeMar Hamlin all over again. So that's very, very cool. I think that's it.
Ohio State, Iowa this weekend, women's.
Ohio State, Iowa women. Yeah, Caitlin Clark. Well, now my brain's in a pretzel with that because
lock her down.
Caitlin Clark, were you out of the room for the? You might have stepped out for a second to take the phone call. Cody broke the news to me that Caitlin Clark will in fact enter the WNBA draft after this season, which is noteworthy for me, TJ, because my beloved Indiana Fever have the number 1 pick in the draft.
Oh.
So now I'm a Caitlin Clark guy. But she's about to – do you think she did this on purpose, that she's about to play she wanted to confuse me before she plays the Buckeyes? Because now I don't know if I'm cheering for her or against her. I'm cheering, obviously, for Ohio State women, but, if she can bring a title to Indy, that would be big time. So
she's also waiting until she plays Ohio State to break the all-time scoring record.
Oh, that's right.
She's like 14 points away or
she's
something.
About
15 points away.
Pete Maravich, right?
Unless Ohio State locked her down.
Unless Ohio State locked her down.
Country.
Yeah, we got to lock her down, I think. But like I've said before, if in fact we do lose, we lost because we were worried about beating her again, the Ohio State fans rushing the court again, and then her taking it out on the fans. It was a safety measure. So I think if we do lose, I just want everybody to know that we purposely lost the game for our own player safety.
Yeah.
But the Buckeye women already clinched the Big Ten. We beat Michigan last night, and we won the Big Ten outright. So Iowa's not even going to win the Big Ten this year. That's big time. But that'll be a fun game. The women's games are fun. They're very fun.
Tickets are $5,000.
That's fucking crazy. That's crazy. They play on Sunday? I think they play on Sunday, not Saturday. I think it's on Sunday. I like this Ohio State women's team. I hope they don't break my heart. I'm so desperate to feel something watching college basketball with Ohio State that I've started to buy in more with these women, and it's setting up for a very sad March. And I feel like the men are about to do what they did last year, which is like get hot, get hot enough to like we're not actually going to make the tournament, but like there's going to be a graphic at some point where they're like, if Ohio State could win the next 3, we have a discussion. And I'm going to be like, oh, my God, what if we win the next 3? And then we're going to lose the very next game. All right, I think that's it. Thank you to Jim. Thank you to everybody listening, watching. Please subscribe to wherever if you're watching, if you're listening, however you're consuming this content. If you have not subscribed, please change that. That helps us out a lot. This is a big month for us here on the show, obviously. March is massive, and we're going to do our best to cover the greatest event in sports. And I understand the interest is picking up, and the audience is picking up, and people are finding the show and listening and watching and all that sort of thing. Because this is the time of year to do that. And I would just ask if you could be so kind to just please subscribe, because that does make a big difference for us. All right, that's it. Have a great weekend, everybody. We will see you on Tuesday.